Hello, welcome to another edition of Latino Paradox. With me is Ruben Navarrette, a well-known syndicated columnist, and I'm Arnold Torres, public policy consultant and commentator a lot on Spanish language radio and television. Big topic for today is Donald Trump a white sympathizer or a supremacist? And this has been a phenomenal week, very busy. That issue has really come to the forefront. There are marches today on Saturday, August the 19th. So let's get into this. In the context of the three questions we ask, who are we, what do we want, and what are we doing wrong? Ruben, white sympathizer, not white sympathizer, who are we as Latinos in this discussion?
There's no question the majority of Latinos see that Donald Trump is a white supremacist, or at least someone who, and a racist, and someone who panders to racists, and who figured out a very cynical political lesson that he could get a lot of pay out of the racial issue and stoking these kind of culture war flames. So there's no question, Latinos, that's who we are. We know the face of racism. We've experienced covert racism in the present day and overt, blatant racism in the past. We've talked to our parents and our grandparents. We've heard the stories. So to answer your question, we are a group of people who know discrimination and racism when we see it.
Well, we are based on everything that I've seen since the Trump campaign, we are the targets of this supremacist movement. It's very easy for American society to focus on Black versus Latino because most of the demonstrations have been taking place in the South, most media covered events. But even the organizers of the Charlottesville effort were targeting immigrants. That was the focus. Why? Because we're the fastest growing and the largest minority group in this country. We are the largest immigrants to this country, and we are the ones that offer the biggest threat to this mentality that whites are better than anybody else. Second major question, what do we want in the context of Trump being a white sympathizer?
What we want is never again to see images like the ones we saw this week of hundreds of Nazis, neo-Nazis, white supremacists, and Klansmen marching at night with torches, saying that we should get rid of immigrants, saying you will not control us, anti-Semitic remarks like Jews will not control us. We don't want to see those images, the violence, the fact that 19 people were hurt and one person died and then two other police officers died in a helicopter as they were monitoring the event. We don't want to see headlines like this anymore and stories like this anymore. We're a group of people that are fed up with this, and we would be happy if we never again saw what we saw this week in Charlottesville.
I agree that those are all of the things that we want, and I think we also want to better understand why this has resurfaced. For many Mexicanos, especially the new immigrants that we see in the last 10, 15 years, I think this is the most shocking. For those of us born here, it's not as shocking as it is for them. These are elements that have always been part of American society. But yes, we would like we clearly want this to stop because this doesn't make any sense to us.
No.
I don't think we can ever believe that this is taking place in today's time. Now, for the most controversial question as usual, what are we doing wrong in dealing with Trump being that white sympathizer in the White House?
We are oversimplifying the reasons why Trump won. We hear and we heard a lot in the days after the election that he won because he pandered to racism and there was enough racists out there to vote for Trump, as if to say somehow you couldn't vote for Trump if you were not a racist. The problem with that is that would mean there were 60 million racists in this country. 60 million. That's how many people voted for Trump. And I think that's not true. I think there are a lot of people who voted for Trump who didn't want to vote for Hillary. And so Democrats, because they lined up 100% mostly for Hillary, largely for Hillary, and were very much predisposed not to like Trump for good reason, they put the two together and said, our candidate is flawless. She deserves to be president. She has a great resume. They overlooked all her faults, the fact that she was not trustworthy and not electable. And they made it seem as if somehow Trump had cheated by reaching out to this ugly element of white supremacists. So that's what we do wrong. What we've done wrong is we refuse to acknowledge that politics is complicated and you have a winner and a loser, and this time around, Latinos backed the loser.
I think what we're doing wrong, in addition to several of the points you've made, which I'm in agreement with, is that we are not being creative in dealing with this sentiment that we see taking place. We have to be much more creative, and we have to learn a great deal more from the past. And we're failing to do that. We're almost repeating the same things, and we're going to have to do more than just that. Because I do believe that there are a lot more people that are given to being sympathizers with the white supremacist movement than anything I thought. I've always recognized that there are elements of that racism in this country. I just never thought that it was as large as it is. The Republican Party, 89% of the Republican Party are white. When you see all of the polls that are looking back on how he has handled these situations, you constantly see this huge number of members of the Republican Party continuing to support the actions and the words that this individual keeps saying, who happens to be the president. I think this is very, very problematic. It is a bigger challenge for us than we've ever imagined, and that's why I think we have got to be more creative, and we've got to quit doing what was done in the past. We could continue for another 20 minutes, but I hope we've stimulated you enough to get your comments. We hope that you'll come and see us and hear us next week. Until then, goodbye, and thank you so much for watching another edition of Latino Paradox.